Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. In fact, we're talking about a lot of light this week, because if you've been looking at our website, Starborn Institute, which was down last week because of a little malware attack, but we've got all that fixed. So if you have been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is Homeward Bound. And that's the direction you could be in anytime in the next 6 months, because just 2 days ago, we had a wonderful solar eclipse at 11 degrees of Cancer. And it is conjunct America's sun sign and birthday, which is today, at 13 degrees of Cancer. So happy 4th of July. But the reason why we can all be homeward bound is because that's what Cancer rules. It is the traditional ruler of the 4th house of home and last half of life. So Cancer rules endings, generally very well done, good kind of endings. But Cancer also rules, since it's a water sign, it rules our emotions and our feelings and has to do with our relationships. And it rules women and home, families, real estate. It rules anything coming out of the ground, so it rules agriculture and mining, and it rules the whole food business, the grocery business, and the restaurant business. And Cancers are very good cooks. They like home cooking. And it also rules unions and Congress and America and Canada. And since a solar eclipse always represents a new beginning, it simply means there can be a new beginning having to do with any of these things. But the reason why the title is Homeward Bound is because I'm not necessarily referring to all of us going back to the home we were raised in. What I mean is that sometime in the next 6 months, you could be having feelings like you want to sort of return to something that is more familiar to you, or to a way of life that's a little more comfortable for you. And so that is very nice. But with 5 retrograde planets, Mercury is going to go retrograde this week, and Jupiter in Sagittarius, Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, Neptune in Pisces, and Mercury in Leo are all retrograde right now. And so I think that we can be returning sometime in the next 6 months to a location or a lifestyle or even a relationship that we just feel better at or more at home with. And so there is the possibility that there may be a choice coming up for you soon. And that choice is the result of the fact that the sun and the moon in Cancer 2 days ago were opposing Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, and Saturn and Pluto are retrograde. So Capricorn rules your 10th house of career and big business and big government and long-term security. It's a business sign. But Cancer rules the home and our families. And so that choice that you may have to make soon could be between the demands of a leadership role at work or the demands of your career and the needs of either yourself or your loved ones at home. And so the question is, are you willing to sacrifice a whole leadership role for a more loving role at home? And the answer to that question is sort of nice, because you may not have to do that. It is simply that you can't do both either, unless you pare them down a little bit or share responsibilities. And with Venus, the love planet, at the 29th degree of Gemini right now, and because Gemini rules 2 of everything and it rules part-time or temporary efforts, there is the possibility that you could do something that does allow you to have a leadership role or at least a career position part-time while you're at home. Or you may be able to devise some sort of plan to start a business and still be at home with your loved ones. Wouldn't that be nice? And we do have to remember that that's not a crazy idea. After all, Microsoft started in a garage, so did Amazon, and so did Boeing started in a boathouse. So these things, you know, they might start small, but if you've got a good idea, you would need to be a little bit more comfortable in your life in order to create that idea or see it grow in some way and make your loved ones happy at the same time. And that is perfectly possible. However, we have to be sort of practical right now in that we have to remember that Cancer does rule endings. And for that reason, this is a time, anytime in the next 6 months, when there can be a pretty definite ending in your life. But what I think it would mean is that there can be an ending to indecision or confusion. And I think you'd be happy if that was over. I would be too. The reason why is that the moon and the sun in Cancer are beautifully trining Neptune in Pisces. And Pisces rules things behind the scenes. Pisces is also a healing sign, as all water signs are. And so there is the possibility that upon learning more information or more truth about things going on behind the scenes, there can be some healing and some forgiveness, and possibly there can be an ending to things that had been causing indecision or confusion in your life. At the same time, every solar eclipse denotes a new beginning, but with the ending of indecision and confusion, that could clear the cobwebs away and make it possible for you to start some sort of new beginning anytime in the next 6 months. But you'd be going home to do that, home to a place or a situation or a relationship or even a location that you just feel more comfortable in. And I think that's what we're all looking for, because I think that we can be concentrating on the safety and the security of a practical and more affordable lifestyle. And that can be important to all of us. And that is because Uranus is in Taurus, a fixed financial sign, and it is trining Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. And Capricorn rules old age and long-term security. So we can be thinking in a lot more practical ways about what's affordable and what isn't, and that's good. And yet at the same time, there could be upsets right now, and you gotta watch out for those too. And that is because both Mercury and Mars are now in Leo, and they are squaring a volatile Uranus in Taurus. Remember, that's a fixed financial sign, and Uranus rules sudden, surprising change. So there could be a lot of people around with very big egos, or people who like to take gambles, or who may have been doing things behind the scenes that they shouldn't have been doing, and they could be very surprised right now to find themselves on the losing end of something and having to face or prepare for some major disappointment in their life. But meanwhile, you and I could probably be homeward bound as we seek a more comfortable lifestyle, or a place or a location or an occupation that allows us both to have some sort of career or leadership role and a loving role as well, and a more affordable lifestyle. So it's the end of indecision and confusion, and it's the beginning of something a little more comfortable and better in your life. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, there isn't any planet in your sign right now or in the sign of Libra, and that is because yours are cardinal signs. However, you are facing some sort of decision that you're going to have to make pretty soon, Aries, and the reason why is that that sun and new moon in Cancer are squaring your sun sign, and Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn are also squaring your sun sign. Oh boy, you're the person that could be asking if you can accommodate both a leadership or career position and a more loving role at the same time. And my answer to that, remember, is yes, if you find a way to do each sort of part-time, you know, so that you can squeeze it all together into one day or 1 week, something like that. So if you lower your sights a little bit, I think that you can make both yourself, your employer, and your loved ones happy right now. So your choice is, you're going to have to make a choice somewhere along the line, Aries. It may be that this is a time for you to rethink how much time you want to spend on your career versus something else that could be rather creative that you like to do at home, and that could please your loved ones just to have you around. So I think you're going to be able to find some sort of way to do part-time in both areas, and that could really sort of improve your life a great deal. But it would also mean that you're homeward bound, so there would be nothing wrong with that. It's just that you have to sort of work out your choices right now. And it won't be easy, but I think you can do it because Venus in Gemini is sextiling your sun, and Jupiter in Sagittarius is trining your sun. So your sign does have backup even if there isn't a planet in it. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is a time when I think that you can really have your mind on practical, affordable things. And so it doesn't mean that you are thinking about, buying a lot of things or being real extravagant right now, but yours is the sign of the good provider. And Uranus in your sign is trining Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, meaning you probably have your mind on long-term security of one sort or another. But I warn you, Taurus, that upsets are possible, and they can be financial upsets. So you really need to keep a close eye on your investments and don't overspend at all right now. You might need the money if there are some fluctuations in your finances. The new moon in Cancer is sextile your sun, so the sun and the moon are sextiling Uranus. You could have some rather unusual, sudden surprise opportunity to make a move, or to spend more time with your family, or to find some way to be a little more homeward bound or more comfortable in a new location or occupation. So I think if you look around, I think you can sort of improve your own life right now, Taurus, and you could do it rather easily. You could certainly do it anytime in the next 6 months as well. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, Venus is at the 29th degree of fate in your sign. It's the very last degree. And although there are no planets in the other air signs, there are plenty of planets around your sign. And that simply means that with the sun and the new moon right ahead of your sign in Cancer, you can be looking forward to some new endeavor that involves a move or a home or a family situation, or even returning, in other words, being homeward bound, to something that you used to do. It could even be a role that you thought you had completed, but maybe you are sort of going to be able to go back to it in one way or another. I think at the same time, Gemini, that you are going to somewhat profit by the feelings, the changing feelings, and easier times that people want to have right now. I think that you can't be on high alert all the time in life. You have to be able to do things that make you feel less stressed out and more comfortable. And I think a lot of people are wanting that, and that's what I'm calling being homeward bound, going back to something that is just a more affordable and comfortable lifestyle. You're going to have the opportunity to do that if you haven't done it already, and you may be able to do it in a way that pleases you very much by being more flexible about your career and more accommodating to your loved ones. I think that this is a good time for you to be able to combine that. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, the new moon is in your sun sign. Congratulations and happy 4th of July. So this is a time, I think, that you can certainly face the truth about things. And I think the indecision and confusion in your life is pretty much over right now, Cancer. And that's because you can be looking at a pretty clear choice that involves your career or a leadership position. And that is because Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn are opposing the sun and moon in your sign. But these two planets in Capricorn are retrograde, and the sun and the moon are the lights, and they're both going forward, and the moon is the strongest of the two in your sign because it's your own ruler. So you're in the driver's seat right now, Capricorn, and Neptune in Pisces is trining your sun. So you really do know a lot about what has been going on behind the scenes. And as more truth comes out, it is probably going to reveal people who have been taking a gamble or who have overextended their estimation of their talent, and they could be headed for a big disappointment right now, simply because as the truth comes out, it'll have to be dealt with. I don't necessarily think that you're involved with that, but I think you're going to profit from that, Cancer. The more truth that comes out about anything that has been hidden, the more you are going to be able to make good decisions. And so your mind can be very clear right now. Anytime in the next 6 months, you can make a move, or you can do something that will make your loved ones more comfortable, or you can be making some changes in a leadership or a career position, and you could be combining your work with your home or your loved one's needs. So I think that you're going back to an easier time or an easier way of doing things. Besides, you know, you can't be everywhere at once, Cancer, and Cancers love their homes and their families. And so this is a time when you might be able to concentrate a lot more on that, and that would make you feel great. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is the time when I think that you have to be very careful sort of not to jump off the deep end. And the reason why is behind the scenes, the new moon and sun are in Cancer right behind your sun sign. So there's a whole lot of light in the background of your life right now, Leo. People can see your family life. They can see your home life. They can see how you feel about people. They can see your relationships very clearly. And so that's fine. The problem is that you have some combustible planets in your sign. Mercury is at 3 degrees in your sign, and Mars has just entered your sign. It's at 0 degrees. So these planets are conjuncting tightly, and they are squaring Uranus in Taurus. And Mars and Uranus are malefic planets, and Uranus is the trigger-happy one. Mars is aggressive, but Uranus rules sudden, surprising change. There could be a cyber attack on your money. Okay, it's in a money sign, Taurus. There could be swift changes in your investments. There could certainly be changes in anything your sign rules, and they could represent danger. Your sign rules children and sports and the entertainment world, and it rules love affairs, and it rules creative efforts and being an entrepreneur and the whole entertainment field. And so there could be danger in any of these places. So you cannot afford to lose your temper or be too aggressive in anything right now, Leo, because you could suffer some sort of sudden backlash that would be a lot more vehement than you had been anticipating, and that could be somewhat destructive to you. So you need to be real quiet, because there's so much light in the background of your life, you really couldn't hide anything right now if you tried. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when the lights are with you. The sun and the new moon in Cancer sextile your sun, and Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn trine your sun, and so does Uranus in Taurus. The only problem now is with all these planets trining or sextiling your sun is that you can really have your mind on not only a leadership position or your career or your long-term security, but also on your home life and your loved ones. And I want to remind you, Virgo, along with everyone else, that an ending is coming. Okay, Cancer really does rule endings. They're pretty good endings, but it's coming. And it can be that any confusion or indecision in your family life or your home life or even in your career, for you, Virgo, there is the possibility that will clear up. Now, the reason why it will clear up is because Neptune is retrograde along with 4 other planets, and it's in Pisces, and it's opposing your sun sign, which means while it's retrograde, more and more truth is going to come out, particularly about somebody you've trusted. And now you're going to learn the whole story, not just the part they have been telling you. And yet you're going to benefit from it, Virgo. So this is a time when indecision and confusion can clear up in some important areas of your life, and that can do you a lot of good in the long run, but it may make you want to be homeward bound. It may make you want to return to a simpler lifestyle or a simpler career opportunity, just so you can relax a little bit. And that is probably coming up. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when, just like Aries, you're going to have to make a choice. And the reason why is that that new moon solar eclipse, along with the sun in Cancer, is squaring your sun sign, and it is opposing Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, which are also squaring your sun sign. And so what's it going to be, Libra? Are you going to choose some leadership position or career position over your home life or the needs of your loved ones? It sort of looks like those are the choices that you may have to make, and that can be very difficult for you. And yet, Libra, your ruler, Venus, is at the 29th degree of fate in Gemini, and it is trining your sun sign. This is probably a now or never moment for you, Libra, when you really have to ask yourself if you might not be able to cut back in one area, such as a career area, in order to meet the needs of your loved ones or your own needs a little bit more. In other words, you could do something part-time that might allow you to also stay home and feel more comfortable. So that is possible, and I think it's headed your way, Libra. You can do that. So you might consider that. It's not an all or nothing choice that you have to make, but instead you have to make some choices that will combine in a way that is less stressful and makes you happier in the end. And I think you can do it. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, that new moon 2 days ago in Cancer trines your sun sign. And Neptune in Pisces also trines your sun sign. And so you can be homeward bound, Scorpio. And the reason why is because I think that you may decide that you want to gradually, sometime over the next 6 months, return to a person or a location or an occupation that is simply less stressful and more comfortable to you. Or you may decide that, okay, you don't want to have it all. Maybe you could have just a part of something in your home that fulfills your needs a little bit more, and some sort of public recognition or career position, part-time again, that doesn't intrude on your needs at home or on your loved ones. So I mean, you can balance that all out based on greater truth that you are about to learn, Scorpio, because Neptune is retrograde in Pisces, and yes, it's trining your sun, but there's some more truth that's going to come out about something. And when you find out that truth, then justice will be done, and your sign does rule justice. So I think this is a time when you can be homeward bound and wanting to take a little of the stress off yourself. And I think you're going to be able to do that. But in order to do that, you're going to have to say goodbye to a few things. You're going to have to relinquish a few things. But what is more important, them or you? In other words, you've got to find a way to be happy with yourself, Scorpio. And I think you're going to get the opportunity to do that, so I hope you take it. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time when I think that you are maybe not going to get everything, and the reason why is that Venus in Gemini is opposing Jupiter in your own sign, and that simply means that somebody, perhaps a younger person or even a child, wants to sort of do their thing their way, maybe even two things, and you may not be agreeing with that right now. Or it can be that you want to sort of ease back a little bit and try doing a few things just part-time. And you know, you could be having a little difficulty trying to squeeze all that in a way that makes sense and maybe still provides a more affordable lifestyle. However, there are planets in the fire signs now. Mars and Mercury and Leo are trining your sun. However, you know, they have a harsh aspect to them, And your sign has a harsh aspect to it because Neptune in Pisces is squaring it. You may not know who to believe, and you may not be too sure of where to go next. And so my advice to you is, remember, you can always go home. Remember, you can always go back to something simple that makes sense to you. And that you've got to have peace of mind first, Sagittarius. So head for that instead, and then the rest of the answers will come. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is the time when there is going to have to be a choice made between a home or career. In other words, a leadership position or the needs of yourself or other people that you love. And that's because the Sun and New Moon are opposing Saturn and Pluto in your sign. And so I want to ask you how important leadership is to you, Capricorn. Can you take leadership to the bank? No, you can't. But can you keep love in your heart forever? Yes. And so, Capricorn, this may not be a time for you to surge forward in your career. I think you're going to have to consider either your own emotional needs or the needs of your loved ones as well. And that might slow you down a little bit, but on the other hand, which is more important? It's got to be that love is more important, because that's important to everybody. Because the way we get love is to give it. And so you've got to sort of get in there and do your share, Capricorn. So I hope you do. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time when you two are going to get sort of lucky at the last minute, because you can sort of make it work right now. You can be homeward bound, thinking that you can have some sort of leadership or career position part-time, and then fulfill the needs of yourself or your loved ones part-time at home also. The reason why you can succeed at that, Aquarius, is because Venus is at the 29th degree of Gemini, trining your Sun. So that's good. And if you feel that you want to return to a place or an occupation or just a lifestyle that's a little easier on you, you're probably going to be okay with that. In fact, that could be better. If you can take the stress or the pressure off yourself, you actually could end up being more creative, Aquarius. Just give yourself a little more space. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when I think you really are going to benefit from the solar eclipse 2 days ago, because the Sun and Moon in Cancer were trining Neptune in your own sign. But Neptune is retrograde along with 4 other planets, and that simply means that you've got to sort of backtrack, Pisces, and go back to the beginning of something that felt really comfortable to you. A former lifestyle, a former relationship, maybe even a former job, or some neighborhood that you feel more comfortable in. You've got to really think about getting back to what really makes you feel good, Pisces. And I think you're going to get a chance to sort of recoup your losses right now.